Guys, I've had a few requests of getting a video of my truck here. 2005 Chevy 2500 HD. It's not the best looking truck in the world. It's got a lot of rust and whatnot, but it was one I threw together quick last winter. And my Dodge that I had was in pretty rough shape and wasn't worth really putting much money into it. It had cab supports were gone, and the cab was actually riding on the step bars. So I picked this thing up and ended up putting the 12 valve in it. But I was going to try to document some of the things that I did to get to where I'm at. So tach works, temp, oil pressure, volts. The only thing's got a check engine light. I'd like to get the trans temp gauge working, but that's later. NV 4500. Still has the push button 263X HD in it. Works just like it's supposed to. I did my own kind of morphed clutch pedal setup. I don't know if you'd be able to see it or not. But same with the accelerator. Shut it off here while I'm doing this so you can hear a little better. The clutch pedal is actually one out of the Dodge. I had a 97 Dodge Ram 2500. And let's see if I can get up here where you can kind of see what I did. Kind of in a way, not really. On these Chevy pickups, the pivot arm or pivot pin of the brake pedal has a really long sleeve on either side of the pedal, and there's enough room to cut the left-hand side of that sleeve off and basically grind that sleeve down to where it'll fit inside of the clutch pedal, because on the Dodge clutch pedal, the pivot bushing is larger than on a GM. So you basically cut the piece off you want, cut your clutch pedal down to where it will fit in that space, and drive your piece you cut off your brake pedal inside the clutch pedal pivot and slam the bolt back through, and you've got your clutch pedal. Now I am using, I don't know how well you'll be able to see, not real well. I am using the stock Dodge clutch master slave, the whole 9 yards. Like I said, the brake pedal, I even cut it down to make the factory Dodge brake pedal cover fit. My only one complaint with this setup is the distance between here and here isn't wide enough for my foot to fit through, so I kind of got to pull my foot out of there when I'm, doing whatever. I like to be able to push my foot through here, and I can't do that, so that's one downside. I did have to move, see if I can get where you can really see what I'm talking about here. I had to move this box, which factory would mount on that stud kind of down here on the floor. Well, with the clutch pedal you can't have that there, so I moved that. Obviously had to cut a hole in the floor. Try not to make this video too long, but yet try to cover a lot of different things. And sorry for the amount of shaking that it has. I'm not a YouTube guy. Just have had a few requests of this to be uploaded, so let's see if I can do my best on it, which no guarantees. It is my goal. My goal was with this truck was to make it look as factory as possible. I don't think I did too bad on it. Still got the factory GM ground bar here, the distribution block for the jump start thing, which I don't use. I put top and side post batteries in for that feature. One thing to make the speedometer work, I retained the TCM for transfer case functions and the speedometer. The transfer case would work without it, but you wouldn't get low range. You only had two 2-wheel high and 4-wheel high. You could not get into low range without the TCM. And I also have the ECM down there. That is only 4 gauges. And it has, I retained one of the weather pack plugs from the Duramax, so, you know, pulling the motor, you can unplug that. That disconnects a large portion of the harness. Has the stock Dodge electromagnetic setup on it for the fuel shutoff. That relay there is for that. It does still have the relay hanging there for the fuel heater, which I'll probably end up taking that off because I'm not going to use it. That's all been deleted. It has a air dog on it, but I don't have any use for the fuel heater. There's the back side of the clutch assembly, and to mount that, I don't know if I can get down, yeah, kind of. You can see that bolt in the corner of it. That is actually a chunk of the pedal assembly from the Dodge that I cut off, and that's what that slave mounts into. And you just drill a hole for the main piston to go through, and then drill some holes through to bolt the thing so it can't turn. And then I mounted the reservoir up here. And common Dodge issues with starters. The starter in this thing's no good as far as the solenoid setup on it, so it has an auxiliary mounted solenoid on the firewall that I put in. My brother actually had put that on the Dodge, and I just retained that same feature for this. Another note is the factory power steering lines from the Duramax will work with a 12-valve Cummins 2nd gen pump. I did have to do some bending, but there was no welding, no cutting. Everything is factory from the 2005 Chevy. Like I said, I did have to do some bending to make them work, but they are all factory lines. Like I said, if I have one go bad, I'll have to do a little modifying on it to make it work. That's not a big deal. Try to come around here, and it has a full 4-inch. The light is so bright out here. It has a full 4-inch exhaust on it. Actually, that lower weld joint there is actually, I cut the V-band off of the Duramax exhaust, and this is the 2nd gen Cummins downpipe, which is a 4-inch. Also has a Schwitzer, I don't know how you pronounce Schwitzer, S300 on it, and bigger injectors. It has a Cometic head gasket, ARP head studs. I'm running, gosh, the sun is brutal. Running the stock Duramax alternator on it. Built my own custom lower mount for that. Custom upper mount, which, well, partially custom. From about here this way and back is original. I had to cut this tab off here and extend it over, welded that in. Like I said, going for that factory look. It has the Dodge air conditioner compressor on it. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. It has a GM pressure switches in it. It is wired to the GM harness, so as far as the truck knows, it has a factory GM compressor on it. It knows no difference. No, I don't have the condenser in it yet or the one air conditioner line. I am still working that system out, which I haven't had time to mess with it. I'm really sorry about the quality of my video, but 2nd gen radiator and intercooler, and I cut the core support to make room for the cap, so you can get the cap on and off of the radiator, so that way I can run a mechanical fan shroud, the whole 9 yards with that. And instead of running the 2nd gen degas bottle, which are ugly, that mount right here, I cut the bottom of my radiator cap off, or, well, not radiator cap, I guess in a way, with the Duramax it is radiator cap. I cut the bottom of the lid off. You can see there should be a piece sticking out about here with another O-ring. Well, I eliminated that because I didn't want the tank or bottle to be pressurized. I did that, so this is just an overflow bottle now. Works great. I mean, keeps that more original look to it. K&N 4-inch cone filter. That is a piece of 4-inch exhaust pipe. Motor mounts. Those are the 2nd gen factory mounts that are flipped side to side. The driver's side is on the passenger, passenger's on the driver. That just made it so it worked out a little better for placement. I will go underneath the truck, see if I can get a better shot of that. And the crankshaft position sensor. She's oily under here, but that's because the power steering gearbox is not in the best of shape. Okay. Can't really see if I can get my arm up here. This bracket here, there is a bolt in the front of the block, and that has a 90-degree bend on it. That bolts one of the bolts that holds the crankshaft position sensor on. And the other one is right there. Scooch in here a little further. Yeah, there you can see the bottom of the compressor. Like I said, factory compressor for the air conditioning. And that right there is the tone ring out of a Duramax, a 2005 LLY Duramax. Sensor as well, factory harness plug. I don't remember if I lengthened that or not. I don't believe I did. I think that was factory length, just obviously rerouted. I thinned the harness all out, took only what I needed to have in it. That hub is built from a piece of exhaust reducer. I don't remember the exact sizes on it, but it was what I found that was almost the right diameter, so I had to ream the inside of the tone ring out just a little bit to make that tone ring fit over that hub. And then I took it to a machine shop because I had it all bolted on and it had just enough deflection in it. Mind you, this was bench built. I don't have a lathe, but put it together and it had just enough of a vibration that I don't know if I can get to show you how close the sensor is to the hub. Not real well, kind of. The camera would focus. There it goes. I had just enough of a deflection in it that it was reading erratically, and that didn't work out too good. I can get somewhat of a shot of my passenger side motor mount. This is just scrap steel I had for the ears up top. The bottom where the 2 bolts are, that is actually a factory part of the Duramax mount. I cut the top of the factory mounts off and welded my own tops to them. Now they're not slotted like a factory one. You have to take the bolts clear out to pull the engine out. I do have clearance on the front diff, and I know that that is not a common thing. I've seen where guys have had to grind on their diffs and whatnot to make these fit. There is no clearancing whatsoever that has been done. The only, I take that back. I did do one thing. There was a stud in the bottom of, or the stud in the oil pan line, that I did take that stud out because that was going to be a problem. But pulled the stud, put a bolt in. That took care of that. Hold on just a second. Like I said, I apologize for my video quality. I know it's not good, but it'll be fine. I'll come underneath the truck here. I could have done this over concrete, but didn't. Try to get in here. Show you the back side of the driver's side mount. Got a little electrical tape hanging there. That is the back side of the driver's side mount, and there are no frame modifications at all for the engine and transmission setup. None whatsoever. It even has the stock cross member in it from the Duramax Allison setup. You want to put a Duramax back in it, you pull them 2 lower bolts out that are at the angle, and the 2, pull myself in here a little further, the 2 on the bottom right there, yank them out, swap them for some factory mount, or the original style. Obviously mine are modified just slightly. You slam 2 factory style ones in, you drop your Duramax back in, and As far as frame modifications, there was one frame modification that was done, and that was to get drive shaft angle set properly, and that is the carrier bearing. That had to be raised, I believe, about 2 inches, if I can recall correctly. 1.5 to 2 inches. I do have an advanced or off-road design clocking ring between the transmission and transfer case. It worked kind of how I wanted it to. I still had to drill 2 holes in the, in fact, if I get my light out here, you can see where one of the factory holes is right there, and the other one is down, I don't know if I can, down in there. Being a cast iron tail housing, drilling 2 holes is no big deal. 4 out of the 6 lined up, but 2 did not. So I picked 2 different holes in the clocking ring and drilled 2 new holes in my transmission, and boom, mounted. Factory front drive shaft, factory rear drive shaft. No drive shaft modifications at all. They are factory from front to back. That right there is the shift indicator sensor. Shift position indicator. Mounts on the side of the Allison, and that is currently in neutral and will stay in neutral. Now, doing that, I don't have reverse lights because it has to be put into the reverse position for my reverse lights to work, so that's something I have to work on. But as far as four-wheel drive features, everything works just like it would from the factory. Obviously, you have to make sure you stop before shifting into low range, but you can shift into high range on the fly. But yeah, I don't know. I guess if anybody watching this has any other questions, want to know any specific things as far as how I did something that I didn't cover, just shoot it down in the comments and I'll do my best to, cover that. But this truck mainly is just kind of to get me by for, I don't know, another 2 years or so, and I'm planning on buying a frame. I've got a local place to me that does Duramax salvage, and I'm going to get a short bed chassis for it, because the box is shot. Find a short bed chassis and put a rust-free chassis under it, buy a new box, and find a rust-free cab. I know it's building a whole new truck, but this thing's gotten me by. I've driven it now. I think I've put 5,000 miles on it. And it's been great. I truly love the truck. I put the tires that were on my Dodge on it. These MXT Cursors I had on my Dodge, threw them on this. But I mean, I love the way the Chevy drives over the Dodge. I mean, there's just no comparison in as far as I'm concerned, at least. But yeah, if you got any questions, shoot them down in the comments. I'll try to cover it. Like I said, I apologize for the video quality. Shaking, lighting's crappy. I realize it, but just wanted to get this out here before I wait too long and forget and don't get the shot out there for anybody or cover anything for people. But yeah, truck's pretty rough, but I built this thing in 6 weeks, start to finish, and I think that's pretty sweet. I had a plan though. I've dreamed doing this thing for probably about 5 years now. I've had this thought in my mind to do that, or do this with one of these trucks, and it finally happened. So, but yeah, like I said, shoot any questions, comments. Got boost and pyro right there. Like I said, everything works except the air. That's something that's to come yet, but it's pretty cool having keyless entry and compass and outside air temp and all those things. I don't know if you can see it, not real well, if at all, but it's pretty cool having those features in a 12 valve powered truck. So all right, well, thanks for watching. Catch you later.